368. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, thank you for tuning in. If you are a student or have been a student in school, Robin, I guess it will apply to us.
Yes.
And you were taught who invented what, right? There was usually a list, you know, Thomas Edison invented this, right? Or Benjamin Franklin invented that, right? Mm-hmm. Who invented the internet? Right?
There you go.
It's always confusing, right? It's kind of like we don't really have a real solid answer. Mm-hmm. The next guest is going to tell you more than you ever realized you didn't know. How about that, putting it that way? Margaret O'Mara is on the phone. She has written a book called The Code, Silicon Valley and the Remaking of America. And yes, oh my gosh, the digital age completely remade not just America, but the whole world. And there was an amazing relationship between the science-minded, people and the people in our government. And you know, we joke about it sometimes, but there really was a connection. Margaret O'Mara actually worked in the Clinton White House.
Yeah, that's amazing.
She's a professor of history at the University of Washington, and her book is amazing. It's called The Code. It, by the way, is #1 right now in the venture capital category on Amazon.com. Margaret, it's an honor to have you on our show. Good morning.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So thank you for this. And I think there's a lot of stuff we didn't ever know about this, the relationship between government and the development of what we now call the Internet.
Yeah, there's a hidden history of Silicon Valley, and that's what I set out to show in this book. It's a story that's not just of single entrepreneurs, but it's of thousands of people, engineers and non-technical people who helped make the magic happen. And it's a long story that isn't just the last couple of decades. It's one that goes all the way back to the 1940s.
And when things happen, you can't really pinpoint an area of the country where all of these things are going to take place.
Mm-mm. You can't predict. And what I show in the book is answer the question of how Silicon Valley did it and why there. Because you dial back to the 1940s or so, what was Silicon Valley best known for? It grew fruit. It was agricultural. In fact, it was known as a capital of prune production.
Oh my!
Really?
Yeah. They had a week every winter that was Prune Week, and they would the slogan was, "Eat a prune a day, keep the doctor away."
There you go.
Wow. So how did this become the focal point of everything we now know as the digital age?
Well, the thing that kicks off the flywheel is World War II and the Cold War. When the U.S. government does something it's never done before, it starts investing in a big way in science and technology. You know, look, this is the nuclear age. It's a space race. The things you learn about in high school and college history classes, that's part of what kicks off this whole phenomenon. And that's what I wanted to show in the book, how these things work together.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't even understand it. My son and Robin's son both are in professional coders, whatever you call them. They do coding. Mm-hmm. I one time sat with my son. He's 30. He's going to be, on Sunday's his birthday, 34, I think, 34. I sat with him one time in New York. I said to him, can you show me, because we had time. We were in a hotel room. I said, can you show me what you do? Mm-hmm. And he opened his laptop and showed me. And you want to know something, Margaret? I still have no clue what he does.
Confusing the older generation has been a hallmark of technologists ever since.
But I love it. I'm good at using it. I just don't understand how it works. It's just it's an amazing thing. Do you? I mean, are you on top of all this?
I've learned. But part of what I wanted to do with this book was create a book for people who don't know the technology,
like me,
as well as the people who do. Yeah. I came into this I'm not a coder, I'm not a programmer. I learned about it, and the part of the story is not just the technology, although that's central to, understanding what's happening. It's the people, it's the companies, it's the ecosystem. So I talk about the valley as kind of a Galapagos. The Galapagos Islands have these distinctive species that have developed there because of isolation. That's what happens in California, in Northern California in the Valley in the 50s, 60s, 70s. It's a business culture unlike any other.
And you bring up the historical aspect with NASA and the Apollo missions and how it relates to today's businesses like Uber and Lyft.
Yeah, the space race is a huge rocket for Silicon Valley of sorts, because what's being made in the Santa Clara Valley is then called in the late 50s were silicon semiconductors, very tiny electronics. And at the time, there wasn't a commercial market for that. So consumers like you and me didn't buy them, right? Even companies couldn't buy them or afford them. Who bought them? Government agencies, and particularly NASA. And what does the Apollo rocket program need? Like, to send a rocket into space? It has to be as light and as powerful and as tiny as possible. So NASA is a really critical customer for these startups.
Yeah, that makes sense.
These little startups.
So that kind of gives some ammunition for those of us who want to support the space program, because that's probably still true today, right?
Yeah, there are things that the government can fund and invest in, the kind of blue sky long range technology that the private sector shouldn't be expected to do, right? Private companies, yes, I mean, a few of them, exceptional ones, have a lot of money to spend on R&D, but the private sector, they're there to be accountable to their shareholders and their customers, where government can say, okay, we're going to give you, astrophysicist, money to develop something. We have no idea what the commercial application will be, but this is going to be foundational technology to something. And you have to have patience, and you have to have a lot of resources and a willingness to fail, to let the person give people room to iterate and mess up and start over.
And you also brought up how women and men are involved in the industry and what the seeds that they had that they are planting for others. You bring up Trish Melenas-Zico, who used the money she made from Microsoft to teach minority children how to be programmers.
Yeah, there's a lot of diverse voices and so-called hidden figures in this story, and from the very beginning, you had women as programmers. In fact, in the very early ages of digital computing, there were many, many female programmers, because software programming was seen as kind of a clerical task, something that was an extension of being a secretary or a telephone operator. It was very quick. It became quick. People quickly realized that it's much more complicated than that, right? Think about your sons who are coders. They're doing much more complex stuff than just connecting a switchboard. So there were a lot of women in the industry.
I just bought your book, by the way. So I bought the audiobook, by the way. I'm gonna listen to it in the car on the way home.
I had a great narrator. It's gonna be you're gonna love it.
I just want to know about it. It's one of those mysteries for me. Even though I love what the end result is, I don't know much about it. So this is going to be very educational. The rest of us can buy it also. I found it on Amazon. Like I say, it's number 1 in a couple other categories. It's number 4 and number 5 and number 6. So you're doing really well with that. Do you have a website you want to recommend?
Yeah, you can go to my website, margaretomara.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at Margaret O'Mara.
Okay, Margaret, thank you. It's certainly been an honor. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. The Marion County Sheriff's Office is reporting a home invasion in Summerfield last night resulted in 2 of the suspects being killed and the homeowner being injured. The second tropical system of the season formed yesterday in the Gulf of Mexico and is on a path west. The storm will not pose a threat to Ocala or Central Florida. President Trump's company said it has canceled the golf tournament with strippers serving as caddies. A Florida man was shot while trying to rob 2 off-duty deputies after arranging online to sell them personal watercrafts. A former sheriff's deputy in the Florida Panhandle was arrested on charges that he pulled over drivers for minor traffic infractions and then planted drugs and then arrested them on made-up drug charges. A father drowned while rescuing his 8-year-old daughter from a strong current off of North Captiva Island. One of the oldest survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack has died at the age of 103, and Universal Orlando's newest coaster, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, is still facing technical issues. And that is your news brief from The Source.
Ocala Magazine is the city magazine distributed throughout Ocala, Marion County, and the Villages, providing award-winning coverage of important issues for almost 40 years. Hi, I'm Philip Glassman, publisher of Ocala Magazine. Ocala Magazine offers a platform for branding opportunities for your business or events while covering the latest in local lifestyle throughout print, digital, and social media. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. on WOCA.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I'm a comfort keeper. I spend a few hours each week caring for seniors in their homes to lend a hand or just be there when they need me.
Being a comfort keeper is a rewarding and fulfilling career. Comfort keepers provide non-medical in-home care and companionship for seniors on a full or part-time basis.
Call 855-592-0013 to learn how to apply to the Comfort Keepers team.
Do something good for your career and for others. Be a comfort keeper. Comfort Keepers offices are independently owned and operated.
Howdy, folks. RL here for Dairy Queen Silver Springs. We want to thank Marion County for 45 years of loyalty. We love this wonderful community, so come on down to Dairy Queen Silver Springs and get some of our great food and ice cream. We have a number of great meal deals that include dessert at a better price than anyone in the industry. Our products are made fresh to order just for you. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Hi, this is Will.
And this is Wendy of Dex Imaging in Gainesville and Ocala. You know, we live and work in this community just like you, and we wanted to personally invite you to call us with any questions or concerns about your copiers or printers.
Like, how can I save money on my toner? That stuff's expensive.
In most cases,